Hi, good morning. This is Gayatri Jayaraman. Welcome to Shamaha. I hope you're having a great Monday morning and the week is starting out just right. Today, I thought I would offer you a musing on the process of transformation. What is transformation, right? Transformation is essentially change, but we call it transformation when it is more wide ranging, when it transforms us along with with the process of changing external factors. And when do we come to this change, right? The change can be sudden, abrupt, it can be immediate, or it can be long term and a slow process. And how do we arrive at it? We arrive at change when the cost of not changing is more than the cost of changing, when we cannot afford not to change. That's when we begin to push ourselves or thrust ourselves into the change, whether that change is voluntary or involuntary. So, what are these processes of transformation, and how can we use this change to our benefit no matter how we come by it? And the first aspect of that is we have to align. Transformation is only complete when it is both internal and external, when it aligns body, mind, and spirit. What is the purpose of this alignment? Why do we need to align at all? Simply put, because when we do not align and we make a change or a transformation, we are bound to leave some part of ourselves behind. And that's when change becomes difficult. When we go ahead and we realize we haven't aligned our body to the change, we haven't aligned aspects of our mind to the change, we go ahead and we get stuck and we reach a point where we can't go further. We have to come back through processes such as meditation, therapy, and take ourselves along. Therefore, change or transformation is always going to be easier for you if you do the process of alignment before you set out on the journey. One place where we see this play out quite often is in relationship transitions. We've had a breakup and we've moved on and gotten into another relationship. However, we haven't really mentally aligned, physically aligned to the fact that we've left something behind. So, physically, we may be doing all the things that the new relationship sort of require of us. We're enjoying ourselves, we're going out, we're meeting people, we're smiling, we're chatting. On the surface, everything seems perfect, but something in our mind has been left behind because we haven't resolved those issues that had to do with the last relationship, and we end up bringing in that baggage into the new one. For instance, let's just say that the previous partner cheated on you. So you've gotten into this new relationship, everything seems fine, and suddenly you hit trust issues, you hit those speed bumps, and that's because you haven't gone back in a line. So, any sort of transformation, anything that involves leaving things behind, we require to do the alignment before we get into the new. Now, I got a question from a friend the other day who watches this video, one of the viewers, who asked, why do I not use the word soul? Why do I use the word spirit? Well, firstly, there are a couple of reasons. Um, One of them is that not everybody believes in the concept of the soul. The Buddhists, for instance, don't. And secondly, not everybody is necessarily religious or looks at things from a divine or ordained point of view, which is fine. And thirdly, because the spirit is something that is this guiding force within us, no matter what we believe or what we ascribe to. The spirit is essentially a drive. And that drive is what aligns with the body and the mind. And that is what drives us towards this transformation or this change that is all encompassing. Which brings us to the second point. all change that results in transformation, an authentic, real, to the bones transformation, has to be all encompassing. And by this, I mean not only internal with the external, but also the idea we sometimes have that other people need to change, society needs to change, the world needs to change. As Gandhiji said, right? Be the change that you want to see in the world. But that's not just a saying or just a truism. It is that there cannot be change in the world unless there is change within us. And if each of us as individuals begins this process of transformation, we will begin to see an external transformation. And that is because change is sort of like water as it begins to flow. Once it starts to pick up speed and power, it takes along things with them. We take people along with us. None of us transforms alone. When we transform, we take the people around us, we take our environment, we take our surroundings, which is why you will very often see what I come to in my third point. It is that when you change one thing, you will change a lot of other things, even things that perhaps you didn't want to change or you didn't intend to change. And this can also take us by surprise sometimes. For instance, let me give you the example of a woman who's decided that she wants to have a child, right? Now she has this awesome job. She's recently had a promotion. Her bosses are happy with her. She loves her workplace. She's very stable financially and otherwise. She's good in her marriage. She has a great relationship with her in laws. Let's just say everything is peachy and perfect. And she says, this is a perfect time for me to have a child. So, what's happening is you're introducing a change, but you're introducing a change with the assumption that nothing else will change. And here's the truth about change. Whatever you introduce into your life as an element of change, whether voluntary or involuntary, whether you've chosen it or not, whether it's coming from the external or whether it's an internal sort of thought process that is transforming you, that change is going to beget other changes, whether you want it or not. So, for instance, you introduce the child, and then your time schedules are going to go for a toss. You're going to need help. Maybe your mother in law doesn't want to help, or the help that you thought you could rely on from the people around you is not forthcoming. And that creates further problems. So then your relationship with those people is going to change. And I'm not saying that you must not get into change, you must not transform anything in your life or introduce any elements voluntarily. But it is that when you do so with the awareness that any change you introduce transforms other aspects of your life. And it's not possible for us to look around and sort of observe all the impacts and influences that the change we have introduced brings in, but it is necessary to be mindful of the fact that it will introduce change. It will introduce some sort of change, whether we want to or not, and just brace for that, be prepared for that. And more important than bracing, I think a lot of us, when we get into change, we try to go in with the attitude of, I've thought of everything, I've covered all my bases. And that doesn't always work because it is not possible to think of all the bases. There are always causes, conditions that influence the outcome, right? Which we cannot calculate. So I think it's more important to have the idea that I cannot cover all my bases. However, what I can cover is my own dynamism, my own flexibility, the sort of bendability of my mind so that I can take what comes. And what happens when you shift the focus from trying to control the external factors of what is going to change, what is going to be taken away from me, what is going to be altered, what is going to transform, is when you take your focus inwards and you say, I'm going to be fixed on myself. I'm going to be grounded. I'm going to find my center point so that no matter what else changes, I know I'll have the ability to cope with it. As they say, that's a lovely saying that I'm going to leave you with, that the bird has faith in his wings and not the branch. So that when the branch is rotten or falls away or is cut down, he just lifts himself up. And I think that's essentially the attitude that we need to approach change with. I hope this helps you in your day and your week.